I'm sitting here in my spare bedroom, my makeshift studio here in Titirangi, Auckland, New Zealand. And today I'm launching a product I started working on over 25 years ago. I almost can't believe it's been that long myself. Back then I was wrestling with a question that I felt was important and obvious, but strangely ignored. There's a well-known interview question that goes, what do you think is important or true that few people agree with you about? And I had an answer clear enough that I wanted to share with others. So around 2000, I bought a domain name that represented that truth. And if you've ever bought a domain name, you'll know the thrill of owning a tiny piece of the internet. It felt like planting a flag in the future, my future. Then reality hit. If this idea was going to be real, it wasn't going to be a quick build. It wasn't just a product, it was my important truth, my legacy, and I didn't want to half do it. So I made a plan. I'd get rich first, and then I'd build it properly. So over the next couple of decades, I threw myself into several startups. One of them with my friend and business partner, Darren Green, almost got me there. We came so close, and then Steve Jobs disrailed everything. Bloody disruptor. Another story for another day. Meanwhile, I put aside a day a week to keep the project alive, but it wasn't enough. And every year I'd get this email saying my domain was about to expire, and it felt like it was asking me, is this truth still important to you? And every year I answered yes. But the gap between that yes and my actual progress, that gap started to hurt. Slowly, uncomfortably, it started to feel like I was postponing the life that mattered to me. Fast forward 5 years ago. I'm consulting. I'm not rich, but I'm earning enough that I can carve out half the week for my project. And by now, I've put the last of my savings into it. Financially, personally, psychologically, I'm all in. Which brings me to the important truth at the center of all this. That truth for me, and I think for everyone, sits inside of two questions. Those questions are, what is important to me and how am I going to bring more of this into my life? Whether you ask that for a moment or a day or a week or the next 5 or 25 years of your life, those two questions shape the quality of your life. They shape its direction and they shape its texture. But here's the problem. We're never taught how to answer them. We're taught how to participate in the economy, but we're not taught how to build a satisfying life. Life is precious and life is short. If you've ever lost someone important to you, you know how brutally that truth lands. We take far too much for granted. Not through any fault in us, but because we fall into habits that hollow out our lives without us noticing. I call them the 7 habits. One is discounting, downplaying what matters. Another is wavering, postponing what matters. When we live from these habits, we end up on what I call the default path. Life happening to us instead of through us. We become passengers instead of drivers of our life. And that's where I found myself. For years I had an important truth, but I wasn't fully living it. So bringing it full circle. Today I'm launching the project I started 25 years ago. The same idea behind the domain name I renewed every single year. Our lives are short and precious. If we want more of what matters, we can't rely on the default path. We have to choose a different one, deliberately. I call it the authored path. And the capability to walk the authored path is what I call self-authorship. The ability to shape our life around what matters rather than what defaults to us. Here's the part at the core of my important truth. Self-authorship isn't an inspirational idea, it's a capability. A capability is simply a skill plus a muscle, and like any capability, it's built through practice. The domain I bought all those years ago was selfauthorship.com because I believed and still believe that your life changes when you learn how to author it. Today that idea is finally coming to life. iDojo is self-authorship training. Not motivation, not hype, training. I created iDojo because the question, how do I build a life with more of what truly matters to me, is, in my view, the most important question any one of us can ask. And self-authorship is the capability that lets you answer it in your way for your life through practice. So that's my story. It's taken me a long time to get here, and that's why this moment feels like one of the most important in my life. And I'm glad to be finally sharing that with you.